Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling something that causes a lot of stress for people. Money and investing.
Yeah, it can feel really overwhelming, can it? Like the whole system's kind of confusing, maybe even rigged.
Exactly. Or just, how do you even plan for a future that feels so uncertain? If that sounds familiar, well, you're definitely in the right place.
Our mission today is really to cut through all that noise. We want to lay out the core strategies for, let's call it financial mastery, give you a clear blueprint.
Right. A real actionable plan for financial freedom. And this isn't about, get rich quick scheme.
No, not at all. It's about building something solid, lasting wealth, and honestly, peace of mind.
And we've really gone deep on this. We've pulled insights from interviews with billionaires, Nobel Prize winners.
Amazing personal stories, too, and some fascinating psychological research. We're trying to synthesize what actually works.
Pulling back the curtain a bit. So the goal for you listening, we want to equip you with the knowledge to navigate all this with confidence.
Yeah, maybe transform your relationship with money a bit and just pave a clearer path to the life you really want.
Okay, so let's dive in. First big question. Why does this financial mastery stuff matter now more than ever?
Well, think about the old plan, right? College, job, pension.
The classic roadmap, work 40 years, retire comfortably.
Exactly. But that model, for most people, it's basically a relic now.
It really feels that way.
The old pension system is mostly gone, replaced by this sort of do-it-yourself retirement system, mainly 401ks.
Which puts all the pressure on the individual.
Totally. It expects you to get professional results without professional training. It's like, here, rebuild your engine, good luck. And honestly, it hasn't worked out that well for a lot of folks.
And beyond just the DIY aspect, there's this feeling that the market itself is, well, a rigged game.
Yeah, you hear that a lot. And things like high-frequency trading, HFT, play into that feeling.
Michael Lewis wrote about this, right? How these super fast computers dominate, like 50–70% of all trades.
Yeah, you click buy, and in that tiny fraction of a second, these machines have already traded thousands of shares, maybe selling them back to you slightly higher.
It's mind-boggling.
And the lengths they go to. One firm spent, what was it, $250 million?
$250 million just to straighten fiber optic cables to shave off 1.4 milliseconds.
Milliseconds. I mean, we're talking microseconds, soon nanoseconds. How can an average person compete with that speed?
You really can't. It makes you feel totally outmatched.
Absolutely.
And then add in the information overload. Everyone's got a hot tip and opinion.
Oh, yeah. Money talk can get as intense as religion or politics online, can't it?
Definitely. And you wonder, how many of these experts have actually achieved results themselves?
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Which brings us to, like, what's the real goal here? It's not just piling up money, is it?
No, money's just a tool, right? A vehicle
Yeah.
to meet our needs, our goals.
Exactly. It's not the end game. Think about that story of Adolf Merkel, the German billionaire.
Oh, yeah. Tragic. Had $9 billion left, but couldn't handle losing the status. Money was his whole identity.
Right. And then you contrast that with someone like Chuck Feeney, the duty-free guy.
The billionaire who gave it all away, flew coach, wore a plastic watch.
Yeah, gave away $7.5 billion. He really got that deeper thing. That meaning doesn't come from what you get, it comes from what you give.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
What you get will never make you happy long term, but who you become and what you contribute will.
Fundamentally changes the whole picture, doesn't it? From just accumulation to purpose.
Okay, so if it's about more than just the numbers, where do we start building this freedom? Let's talk foundations. First up, compounding. Warren Buffett's secret weapon.
Yeah. He famously said his wealth came from living in America, some lucky genes, and compound interest. It's the multiplying power of growth on growth.
It's not about hitting home runs. It's about consistent gains over time.
Exactly. And you don't need to be a billionaire. Remember Theodore Johnson, the UPS driver?
Never made more than $14,000 a year,
Yeah.
right? But turned it into $70 million.
$70 million. Just by consistently putting money to work. Compounding did the heavy lifting. It shows it's about consistency, not starting capital.
Such a great story.
It really is. Or think about those two brothers. The one who started saving earlier, even though he invested less overall.
Ended up with way more, right? Like 600% more.
600%. It just hammers home the point.
Right.
The best time to start is now. Whenever now is for you.
Makes total sense.
Hmm.
That idea of your money making money while you sleep, it's appealing. But okay, The first hurdle for so many people.
Where do I find the money to save?
Exactly. It feels like everything's already spent.
It's a real challenge,
Right.
but that's where this Save More Tomorrow idea comes in. Shlomo Benartzi and Richard Thaler came up with it.
Ah, the behavioral economics guys.
Right. It's clever because it taps into our psychology. Instead of saving more today, which feels painful, you commit to saving more, maybe next year.
When we always think we'll be more disciplined.
Exactly. It makes saving feel less like a sacrifice now. Think about that example, Angela.
Right, with the car. Trade it down, save the difference.
Saved about $400 a month, nearly $5,000 a year. Put that into her freedom fund.
And over 40 years, at 8% compounded, that could be $500,000.
$500,000, even just $40 a week could grow to over $580,000. It's amazing how small, consistent amounts add up.
It really is. That's how your money machine grows, right?
Yeah.
Until it reaches that critical mass.
Yeah, generating income while you sleep, covering expenses, emergencies, retirement.
So the absolute first step is automating it, setting a percentage and sticking to it.
Crucial. A set percentage in good times and bad, no matter what, because compounding punishes missed contributions. You got to keep watering that plant.
Okay, foundation set. Now, let's get into becoming more of an insider, avoiding the common traps, busting some myths. First one, this idea of balanced portfolios.
Right, and the whole house has the edge thing. Steve Wynn, the casino guy.
He says the house always has an edge, but in casinos, people can win big and they can walk away.
Yeah, but mutual fund companies, some describe them as the ultimate casino with a stacked deck. You're kind of locked in and they get paid whether you win or lose.
That's a bit cynical, but makes you think. And Ray Dalio, the big asset allocator.
His point is critical. Most balanced portfolios, they drop 25–40% in downturns because they're balanced by dollars, not by risk.
Ah, okay, so equal dollars in stocks and bonds doesn't mean equal risk.
Not even close. If the risks aren't balanced, you aren't balanced. It's a massive blind spot. True diversification is about balancing the impact of different risks.
Got it. Myth number 2. My mutual fund is beating the market. Seems logical, right?
You'd think. But the data is, well, sobering. Over 20 years, 93 to 2013, the S&P 500 returned about 9.3% a year.
Okay, decent.
But the average mutual fund investor, they made just 2.5%.
Wait, 2.5%? Compared to over 9, that's like an 80% difference.
80% less return. It's staggering. Jack Bogle, Vanguard's founder, had that great gorilla analogy.
The coin-flipping gorillas.
Yeah. Put 124 gorillas in a room flipping coins. One will eventually flip 10 heads in a row by pure luck.
And in finance.
We call him a genius, Bogle said. He also pointed out that even the tiny 4% of funds that do beat the market one year, they're almost never the same 4% the next year. It's mostly luck.
Okay, but what about the unicorns? Those hedge fund managers who actually do crush it, like David Einhorn.
Right, up over 2,200% since '96. Amazing.
The doors are closed, right? Dalia's fund needs $100 million minimum.
Exactly. So for most people listening, the practical solution is simple. Align yourself with the market.
Meaning index funds.
Low-cost index funds. They consistently outperform 96% of mutual funds. Even Warren Buffett tells his wife's trust to just buy an S&P 500 index fund.
If the greatest stock picker says buy the index,
Yeah.
that's pretty compelling. Okay, myth 3, the hidden fee trap. That 1% fee we see.
Yeah, that advertised 1%. It's often just one of maybe 10 or more potential fees.
And fees. Seriously.
Seriously. The average mutual fund could be eating up 60% of your potential returns over time because of all these layered fees.
60%. That
Yeah.
translates to, what, hundreds of thousands of dollars?
Easily. Maybe $250,000, $450,000, even more over your lifetime. Just gone to fees. Think about what that money could have done for you.
It's infuriating. And you mentioned pay-to-play fees in 401k.
Yeah, 90% of plans make funds pay just to be offered. It maximizes profits for the providers, not necessarily for you, the client.
And most people don't even know they're paying fees. Like 67% think 401ks are free.
It's a huge lack of awareness. The takeaway, you have to check your fees. Aim for total annual fees under 1.25%, ideally less, like 1% for advice, 0.20% for the actual index funds.
Be proactive. Got it. Myth 4, target date funds, the set it and forget it option.
They seem easy, but people misunderstand them. A survey found tons of people thought they couldn't lose money or had a guaranteed return.
Which is absolutely not true.
Not at all. They adjust risk over time, but they don't guarantee anything. Low-cost ones from places like Vanguard can be okay for simple cases, but...
If you're tuning into this deep dive, you're probably looking for something more tailored than average, right?
Probably, yeah. Which brings us to myth 5. I hate annuities. They get such a bad rap.
They really do.
Yeah.
But the core idea, Guaranteed income for life. Actually sounds pretty good.
It does, and Dr. Jeffrey Brown's study showed exactly that. Frame it as a savings account, nobody's interested. Frame it as guaranteed income for life, suddenly 70% find it attractive.
It's all in the framing.
Yeah.
But we need to be specific here. We're not talking
They got
about
those awful variable annuities, high commissions, underlying mutual fund fees, extra layers of costs. No.
we're talking about fixed indexed annuities, FIAs.
Right. Key benefits. First, 100% principal protection backed by the insurance company.
So you can't lose your initial investment.
Correct. Second, you get upside potential based on a market index, but crucially, without the downside risk. If the market drops, you lose nothing that year.
Upside without downside. Plus, you lock in the gains. Right.
Exactly. Each year's gain becomes the new floor. Your principal is always protected, and your gains become permanent. Some even offer uncapped upside for sharing a small part of the gain. It's a powerful tool for the safety bucket.
Okay, last myth, number 6, and it's a big one. My advisor has my best interest at heart.
You'd hope so, wouldn't you? But most people don't know the difference between a broker and a fiduciary.
And that difference is critical.
Huge. A broker works under a suitability standard. They can sell you a product that's suitable, but maybe also the one that pays them the highest commission. There's an inherent conflict.
Whereas a fiduciary
Is legally obligated, required to put your interests first, period. Even if it means they make less money. Think salesperson versus doctor.
And it's wild that politicians were actually debating if acting in the client's best interest is a good idea.
I know. Meanwhile, you have guys like Ajay Gupta, who gave up huge broker bonuses to become a fiduciary because he didn't want to steer clients to inferior products just for his own payout.
So the clear advice is,
Find an independent registered investment advisor, an RIA. Ask them directly, are you a fiduciary? Get it in writing. It ensures they're legally bound to act for you.
okay, mix busted. Let's shift gears now. How do we speed up the journey? Beyond the basics. Strategy 1, get ruthless about fees and taxes.
Cannot say this enough. Fees can cost you a decade of your working life savings. It's not just about earning, it's about keeping what you earn.
And taxes are a huge part of keeping more. Tax-advantaged accounts are key, like Roth accounts.
Roths are brilliant. You pay tax on the seed money going in, not the harvest coming out.
So all that growth over decades is totally tax-free when you take it out.
Totally tax-free. That gives you incredible certainty for planning your spending in retirement. You know exactly what you have.
Huge advantage. Plus, lower tax rates on long-term capital gains, right?
Yeah.
Money made on investments held over a year.
Yeah, around 20% versus potentially up to 50% for ordinary income. And watch out for those active mutual funds. Again, their trading can trigger taxes for you, even if you didn't sell anything. Index funds are much more tax efficient.
And you mentioned location as a tax strategy, like moving states.
It can be incredibly powerful. That anecdote about moving from California with its 13.3% state tax to Florida with 0 state tax.
Paid off a house in 6 years just from the tax savings.
Just from the savings, it's massive. And think bigger than states. Give your globe a spin.
Huh, okay. Where are we going?
Well, you could potentially cut your living costs by a third, even half, living in beautiful, affordable places like Bali, Fiji, Uruguay, Costa Rica.
Suddenly your money goes way further. Okay, that's keeping more. Strategy 2 for speeding up. Earn more and invest the difference.
This one's about unleashing your creativity. Like Jim Rohn said, for things to change, you have to change. Get better. Personal growth fuels financial growth.
It's about creating value, right?
Yeah.
The market rewards solving bigger problems.
Absolutely. David Tepper earning $3.5 billion. It's because he delivered insane value to his investors, way more than, say, a cashier provides in economic terms. It's about the scale of value.
And with automation threatening jobs. That Oxford study said nearly half of U.S. jobs are at risk.
Yeah, in the next 20 years, it means we all need to be constantly learning, retooling our skills, adding value in new ways.
We saw those inspiring examples. Ki-hoon, the Korean teacher who became a millionaire by innovating.
Daniela, the marketing associate who kept learning new skills like social media.
And Sarah Blakely with Spanx. Solved a problem, built a billion-dollar company, 0 debt, owned it all.
Shows what's possible when you focus on creating value and solving problems. Earning potential really can be unlimited.
Okay, strategy 3 for acceleration. Optimize your spending plan. Not a budget.
No, not a restrictive budget. A spending plan. Focusing your money where it brings you the most joy and happiness while still hitting your long-term freedom goals.
It's about being intentional. Like Angela trading down her car.
Exactly. She consciously decided that money brought more value in her freedom fund than in a slightly fancier car. It's about making those deliberate choices. find those meaningful savings.
Makes sense. Okay, we've covered a lot. Now, the big one, asset allocation, the ultimate decision, how you divide up your investments.
This is what all the top investors emphasized. It's the key to success or failure. Get this wrong, and nothing else matters as much.
We've all heard horror stories. The friend who put everything in one stock.
Yeah, saw it drop 40%. Or the person wiped out in 2008 because they were all in risky stuff. Allocation protects you.
So it's about using different buckets for your money.
Exactly. Based on when you need the money and how much risk you can handle. First is the security peace of mind bucket.
Money you absolutely cannot afford to lose.
Right. Cash reserves are crucial here. Avoids being asset-rich, cash-poor, like so many in '08. High-quality bonds, maybe some principal-protected structured notes, or those FIAs we talked about. Safety first.
Even vetted real estate loans, potentially?
If done carefully, yes. The point is, this bucket is for stability and short-term needs. Then you have the risk growth bucket.
This is where you aim for higher returns.
Yeah. Stocks, ideally broad index funds, maybe some higher yield bonds if appropriate. Direct real estate like rentals. Here you accept more volatility for potentially more long-term growth.
And for most individuals, the best diversification tool is still
The low-fee index fund. Broad exposure, low cost, takes out the guesswork of picking stocks.
Okay, let's get insights from the masters. Ray Dalio's All Seasons portfolio.
Groundbreaking stuff. His risk parity idea, balancing by risk, not just dollars, designed to handle any economic season.
Inflation, deflation, growth rising or falling.
Exactly. And the results are incredible. Nearly 10% average annual return from '84 to 2013, net of fees.
Made money 86% of the time. Only lost money 3 years out of 30.
And those losses were tiny, average 1.9%. In 2008, market down 37%, all seasons down only 3.9%. It even handled the '70s inflation.
Wow, it's like financial armor.
It really is. Provides emotional scaffolding, protects you from the market, and protects you from your own fearful reactions.
Then David Swenson at Yale. His model's legendary.
Yeah, his basic strawman portfolio. About 70% equities and equity-like things, U.S., international emerging markets, real estate, and 30% fixed income like treasuries.
And it outperformed the S&P 500 with less volatility, lost way less in the 2000-2002 crash.
Significantly less. He believes asset allocation accounts for more than 100% of returns because bad active management actually costs you money through fees and mistakes.
More than 100%.
Yeah.
And then Buffett, the ultimate stock picker.
His advice for most people, index funds. His plan for his wife's trust, 90% S&P 500 index, 10% short-term government bonds.
That's a big secret.
He doesn't sell, long-term buy and hold.
Simplicity itself. What about Paul Tudor Jones? His focus is defense.
Totally. Learn from commodity trading. Defense is 10 times more important than offense, all about risk control.
And that asymmetric risk-reward idea, risking $1 to make 5.
Exactly. Means you can be wrong most of the time and still not lose. Kyle Bass did that betting against housing, risked pennies to make dollars, turned $30 million into $2 billion. Jones himself avoided the crash by following trends defensively.
Incredible discipline. And Sir John Templeton's wisdom.
Timeless. Find the bargains at the point of maximum pessimism. When everyone else is panicking and selling cheap, that's the time to buy.
Requires controlling your emotions, though. Okay, we've covered the mechanics. Now let's go deeper. Beyond money. Towards abundance, overcoming our own limiting stories.
This is often the final frontier, isn't it? Our own internal story, our limitations, our fears.
Beliefs like, it takes money to make money, or rich people are bad.
Yeah, those narratives hold us back. But think back to Theodore Johnson, the UPS driver. His story proves it's not about luck or starting rich. It's a simple system.
Or Julie, whose parents taught her, money is evil. She had to break that pattern.
Once she did, she could finally build wealth. So how do we change these stories? It starts with changing our state.
Our mental and emotional state.
Absolutely, it colors everything. And Amy Cuddy's Power Pose research at Harvard is fascinating here.
Just 2 minutes of standing like Wonder Woman.
Increases testosterone by 20%, reduces the stress hormone cortisol by 25%, makes you more confident, more likely to take risks.
So changing your body literally changes your brain chemistry.
Configures your brain to be more assertive, confident. It's a physical way to overcome those internal fears and make better financial decisions.
Wild. Okay, so with that confident state, we need to define our actual financial dreams. Get specific.
Exactly. Know precisely how much it will take, because often the price of your dreams is much smaller than you ever thought.
It's not about being a billionaire, maybe just covering your ideal lifestyle.
Right. Think in stages. Financial security, basics covered, vitality, adding wants, independence, lifestyle without work, and absolute freedom. all dreams. Figure out your number for each.
And always remember, life is not about money, it's about emotion. The goal is the lifestyle, the feeling, not just the stuff.
Money's a caretaker, not the owner. Our worth is not measured by the weight of our bank accounts, but by the weight of our souls.
Which leads perfectly into the transformative power of giving.
Maya Angelou said it best. Giving liberates the soul of the giver.
And science backs it up. That Harvard study, spending just $5 a day on others significantly boosts your happiness.
Yeah, it's not the amount, it's the act. Buying a scarf for your mom, malaria meds for a friend.
It increases happiness and health.
Tony Robbins' story, too. Inspired by a gift as a kid, now feeds millions. Started small.
Didn't wait till he was rich. Contribution can start now. Concepts like Swipe Out, rounding up purchases for charity, with guys like Mark Benioff involved, show how small collective actions create huge impact.
Okay, final piece. The future as a hidden asset. Peter Diamandis, Ray Kurzweil, exponential growth.
Technology as a resource-liberating mechanism. Diamandis uses that whale oil crisis example from the 1850s.
Everyone thought the light would go out.
But we didn't run out of whales. We innovated, found better solutions. Human ingenuity overcomes scarcity. And today's technologies are even more breathtaking, right? Making life better for potentially less money.
Absolutely. Think 3D printing. From sci-fi replicators to reality. Printing shoes, parts, even houses for $5,000 using concrete and waste.
That kid who printed cheap prosthetic hands.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Beeston LaChapelle, yeah. And biotech. Life is an information technology. Editing genes, creating synthetic life.
Regenerative medicine. Regrowing fingertips with pig bladder cells.
Extracellular matrix, yeah. Regrowing muscle, bone, maybe soon. Regrowing whole limbs like salamanders. Imagine the impact on health costs and quality of life.
So the future challenge might not be scarcity, but meaning.
Where will we find meaning in a world of abundance? Diamandis asks his answer. Abundance isn't about luxury for all, it's about possibility for all. Freeing up human potential.
Wow. Okay, what a journey we've been on in this deep dive, from navigating the myths and the system.
To mastering saving, investing, understanding risk, meeting these incredible financial minds like Dalio, Bogle, Swenson Jones.
And incredible human beings, too. Their insights give us a real roadmap. It's not luck, it's understanding and action.
And that's the key takeaway, isn't it? Knowledge is not power action. Is execution trumps knowledge every day of the week.
Absolutely. So we really encourage you listening, put this stuff into practice now. Check your 401k fees today. Ask if your advisor is a fiduciary tomorrow. Automate your savings.
Even tiny steps, done consistently, build massive momentum over time.
Because ultimately, this path isn't just about money. It's about liberating yourself to live a life true to your values, to contribute in ways that matter to you.
It's about building that life of possibility we just talked about.
Oprah said, you can have it all, just not all at once.
Yeah.
So with this blueprint in hand, what will you choose to prioritize? What will you experience? What will you give now that you have the tools to make it real?